now.
Hello and welcome to this webinar where I will be introducing the Ravens Progressive Matrices 2 Clinical Edition. My name is Carolyn Hughes. I'm one of the assessment consultants at Pearson Clinical, and as this webinar is recorded, we won't have a questions and answers section at the end, but please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I'll provide my contact details on the final slide. So the Ravens Progressive Matrices 2 Clinical Edition is a non-verbal assessment of general cognitive ability. Specifically, Raven defines the trait that the progressive matrices measures as adductive ability, which is one of the key components of general intelligence, or G, identified by Spearman. Adductive ability involves the ability to think clearly and to solve complex problems. And according to the contemporary theory of intelligence, progressive matrices involves cognitive functions such as perception and attention to visual detail, inductive reasoning, fluid intelligence, broad visual intelligence, classification and spatial ability, simultaneous processing and working memory. The Ravens 2 consists of universal geometric shapes that are recognisable with any level of education. This test requires only minimal verbal instruction and no spoken or written responses. These features minimise the impact that language skills and cultural backgrounds may have on the test's performance. The Ravens 2 is suitable for the assessment of a full range of cognitive ability in those who are not language proficient, who have communication-related disabilities, or who are from a culturally diverse population. And it's appropriate for ages 4 years to 69 years and 11 months and can be administered using a traditional paper format or digital format using our online platform Q Global. This assessment has a CL2R qualification code, and please see our website if you'd like to know more information about our qualification codes. Next, I'll go through the applications of the Ravens 2. So the Ravens 2 was designed to quickly and accurately estimate an individual's general cognitive ability. When used properly, the Ravens 2 is a very effective tool for differentiating between individuals whose cognitive ability is in a normal range and certain special populations, for example, individuals who are gifted. The application of the Ravens 2 should be based on the testing purpose and the examiner's professional judgment and the guidelines set forth in the Code of Practice for Psychological Testing from the BPS, the British Psychological Society, and the International Test Commission guidelines on test use. These are for the UK and would take priority, but there are also guidelines from the Standards of Educational and Psychological Testing, the American Educational Research Association, the AERA, the American Psychological Association, and the National Council on Measurement in Education. So as an example, the Ravens 2 is appropriate if the time is limited and only an estimate of general cognitive functioning is required. It is also ideal for mass screenings in settings such as primary schools, military or army recruitment centres, or employment placement centres. The Ravens 2 provides screening information that is useful for determining the need for more comprehensive testing. For example, if an examinee's standard scores on the Ravens 2 indicate that she or he may be eligible for special services, a more comprehensive assessment battery such as the WISC-5 or the WACE-4 should be administered. The Ravens 2 score is not intended as a substitute for the scores obtained on these more comprehensive measures of cognitive ability and should not be used in isolation for diagnosis or classification. And in general, the Ravens 2 should not be used for legal, judicial or quasi-legal purposes. The Ravens 2 can also be used for re-evaluating individuals who previously received a comprehensive evaluation and when time available for retesting is limited. For example, in neuropsychological evaluations, psychiatric evaluations, or re-evaluations for special educational services. So let's go through some of the updates from the previous Ravens. So we have new items. All of the Ravens 2 items were newly developed, yet retain the underlying cognitive constructs measured by the Ravens progressive matrices, the RPM, in addition to the 3 item types, 1 times 1, 2 times 2, and 3 times 3. 1 new item type, 1 times 6, was included. Unlike the RPM, the Ravens progressive matrices, where the missing piece is always placed in the right bottom corner of the matrix, the position of the missing piece in the Ravens 2 matrices varies. In addition, all items were designed with 1 or more colours to make them more interesting and aesthetically pleasing to the examinees. Careful analysis and expert review ensured that the colour usage did not introduce bias against individuals with colour perception problems. Then another update is that we developed an item bank and increased test security. So there's an item bank with a total of 329 items that was created encompassing a wide range of item difficulties for all ability levels previously assessed by the CPM, SPM and APM. The CPM, the colour progressive matrices, is for use with children and elderly people. The standard progressive matrices is for use with the general population, and the advanced progressive matrices, the APM, is for the top 20% of the population. I may refer back to these later on in the presentation. The item bank is systematically arranged by multiple factors such as item difficulty, item type, and the rules that the examinees need to infer to choose the answer. The Ravens 2 item bank was established using an IRT, which is an item response theory approach. And if digitally administered, an automated test form assembly algorithm developed by the research team randomly selects the items and assembles a unique test for each examinee according to the standard test form assembly rules. The algorithm also ensures that the equivalency in test reliability and item content across all randomly generated test forms. So utilising the digital testing and an item bank prevents the examinees from sharing answers during the test or with future test takers. And because the paper form has fixed items, is one of the forms assembled using the item bank. If needed, it can be replaced by another parallel form should the item exposure or test security be questioned. Then we've updated the norms as well. The research suggests that outdated norms produce inflated scores on measures of cognitive abilities. So cognitive test scores should be based on normative information that is both contemporary and representative of the relevant population. The Ravens 2 European normative data were established using representative samples from European countries selected between May 2018 and July 2019. The sample was stratified on key demographic variables, including age, gender, ethnicity, education level, and geographic region. And these were representative of the most recent census data from each country. I'll go through more of the standardisation information later on in the webinar. Then we have the updating reliability and validity evidence. And during the development of the measure and standardisation, reliability and validity studies were conducted to obtain updated evidence of reliability and validity for the intended use and interpretation of the Ravens 2 assessment results. Evidence of convergent and discriminant validity was provided by correlational studies with the following instruments: the CPM, the SPM and the APM, the Naglieri non-verbal ability test, the NNAT, the wide range achievement test 5, the RAT5, and the Kaufman brief intelligence test. Additional evidence of clinical validity was provided through mean comparisons using clinical groups and matched control samples. And then finally, the updates also include increased user friendliness. There are 5 aspects to increasing the Ravens 2 user friendliness. So first, users may choose between traditional paper or digital administration, depending on their accessibility to the required digital devices. QGlobal is the platform used for the digital administration, scoring and reporting of the test. For the paper testing, scoring, reporting may be automated also using QGlobal by entering the examinee's item responses into the programme. Secondly, to meet user demand for simplified test materials, the CPM, SPM and APM were combined into a single test battery with one streamlined manual and a single test booklet for all ability ranges. For digital formats using QGlobal, examinees are automatically assigned appropriate sets of items, which is dependent on their age. The third point is that the test can be administered in a timely manner. If the users need to test for a quick screening, the digital short form can be administered in around 20 minutes. Administration time for the digital long form, which is about 30 minutes for children aged 4 years to 8 years and 45 minutes for examinees aged 9 to 69 years and 11 months. This has been significantly shortened using the new discontinue rule. Applying the discontinue rule also reduces the levels of random guessing, fatigue and frustration. The fourth point is that without affecting the test functionality and clarity, the instructions to the examiner and examinee have been simplified and shortened. And then finally, there is a practice link that is provided to assist examiners in becoming familiar with the new digital test administration. This link allows examiners to practice the demonstration and sample items that are presented to the examinees. For more details on how to use the practice link, refer to the directions for the digital administration section within the manual. So the Ravens 2 has a number of advantages over other measures of general cognitive ability that contribute to its effectiveness as a reliable measure. So such as the ease of use. The Ravens 2 is easy to administer and score. Professionals can administer the Ravens 2 with minimal timing with the help of the examiner practice link. And digital administrations provide non-verbal visual teaching aids that should be sufficient for the majority of the examinees to learn the task. Extended verbal instructions are provided for individuals with extremely low cognitive abilities who may need additional help. It's efficient. The Ravens 2 provides a quick and reliable measure for general cognitive ability depending on the test form and examinee's age. Most of the test administration takes approximately 20 to 30 minutes to complete, with a maximum time limit of 45 minutes. It can be administered in group settings or individually, therefore it's really useful for assessing large numbers of people. The Ravens 2 has the option for administration for paper and digital forms. It's non-verbal. The Ravens 2 is generally generally language and culture free. As a non-verbal measure, the Ravens 2 is ideal for assessing diverse populations of individuals with limited expressive and receptive language skills, individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, and for testing individuals from minority groups who may be eligible for gifted programmes. The large item bank, unlike most measures of cognitive ability that contain only very few forms and fixed item sets, the most advanced feature of the Ravens 2 is that the digital forms are based on this large item bank. And using this, there are millions of unique and parallel item sets that can be assembled. And then finally, there is a wider age range that can be used for individuals aged 4 years to 69 years and 11 months. So these are the Ravens 2 components. The digital administration materials on Q Global include a digital manual, the examiner's practice link, the Ravens 2 digital long form and digital short form for automated test administration, scoring and reporting. The paper administration materials include a paper manual, a physical test booklet, an answer sheet, a scoring template for hand scoring, or you could choose to use Pearson's Q Global platform for the automated computer scoring and report generation. So in terms of the administration of the assessment, I'll go through the digital aspect first. So the Ravens 2 digital long form contains 36 items for ages 4 years to 8 years and 11 months, and it has a time limit of 30 minutes. For ages 9 years to 69 years and 11 months, the digital long form contains 48 items and has the time limit of 45 minutes. Each examinee is given a unique set of items randomly selected from the item bank. The digital long form has a discontinue rule beginning with item 11. If an examinee produces 6 incorrect responses in a row, the software program automatically terminates the assessment. The number of items administered to examinees may be different depending on how soon the discontinue criteria is met. A valid digital long form test administration requires a minimum administration of 16 items. For the digital short form, this includes 24 items for all ages and has a time limit of 20 minutes. Each examinee completes a unique set of items that are randomly selected from the item bank. Like the long form, the short form has a discontinue rule beginning with item 11, and if the examinee produces 6 incorrect responses in a row, the programme automatically terminates the assessment. If using the paper forms have fixed test items. For ages 4 years to 8 years and 11 months, there are 36 items with 3 item sets, A, B and C. There is a time limit of 30 minutes. For ages 9 years to 69 years and 11 months, there are 48 items with 4 item sets, which is B, C, D and E. There is a time limit of 45 minutes. The paper form does not have a discontinue rule. The Ravens IRT-based ability scores and age-based standard scores are directly comparable across the digital long form, digital short form and paper form. And when assessing individuals with special needs who are unable to record responses using either the digital or paper format, examiners may assist them by recording their responses. In these particular cases, the examinees may need to be tested individually rather than in a group section. When looking at group testing, older children and adults may be tested in groups of any size. It is recommended that an examiner be present for every 10 to 15 examinees. For some very young children, they may need to be tested individually or perhaps in smaller groups of fewer than four children to ensure valid results. For demonstration items, sample items and expanded directions, the digital format provides demonstration items that introduce navigation within the test workflow, and both the digital and paper formats provide sample items designed to teach and allow practice with the different item types. There are icons and automated feedback. So for both the digital and paper administrations, the wait and listen icons, which are red, yellow or green in colour, indicate to examinees to stop and listen for directions, while examiners read the demonstration, sample, expanded or test item directions. These are some of the images that I've just put on the corner of the screen for you there. When there's a test and retest interval, so often it's necessary to re-evaluate an individual using the same instrument. The Ravens 2 digital forms are ideal for retesting the same individual. Each digital form has that unique parallel item set that minimises potential practice effects. There is no universal agreement regarding the shortest test-retest interval that will not result in significant practice effects. Depending on the retest's purpose, a retest interval of 2 weeks to 6 months may be acceptable. And then finally, out of level testing. When using the paper format, although the recommended testing item sets are B, C, D, and E for ages 9 to 69 years and 11 months, it is perfectly acceptable to test individuals with low ability in this age range using the item sets A, B and C. The ability scores derived using item sets A, B and C and item sets B, C, D and E are comparable. So here is what you would need if you were looking to use the group testing on the Q Global platform. For each examinee, you'll need a computer with internet access and a mouse or a tablet device like an iPad or a Surface. You need to make sure that it doesn't reduce the size of the stimuli so that it appears very small or it's in miniature appearance. You can prepare for the digital administration by reviewing the about the Ravens 2 document in a source library. And when you sign into Q Global, you will enter the examinees' names and date of births. Then you select the appropriate form. So you'll select whether you would like the long form or the short form. And the software will then prepare and deliver the test items according to the examinee's age. And for the scoring the Ravens 2 using Q Global digital forms are scored automatically, and then a report is generated. To score the paper form using Q Global, select the Q Global manual entry option and enter the required examinee's information and item responses. If an item response is missing, then just leave that item response blank. And if you're choosing to hand score, hand scoring is available using the scoring key and the manual. And these are the scores available from the Ravens 2. Then just to talk about the standardisation of the Ravens 2, They're pan-European norms. So the Ravens 2 European standardisation projects focused on collecting a stratified sample from European regions covering France, Germany, the Netherlands, Scandinavia, Spain and the UK, establishing the normative data and providing evidence for reliability and validity. Data collection took place between May 2018 and July 2019, and all standardisation forms were administered with the paper version of the US Ravens 2 publication, either individually or in a in a group. A primary goal of the adaptation work for the Ravens 2 was to create a common norm available and applicable throughout several European countries. The Ravens 2 is highly suitable to create a common norm for measuring general cognitive ability. The test is non-verbal and has little verbal instruction. The content of the items is also not culturally biased. The pictures are abstract with no meaningful or interpretive content, and the colours are neutral. The same item set can therefore be applied to all European countries. These characteristics allow it to create an overall norms based on smaller subsamples per country with similar quality standards in comparison to an approach where larger size normative samples per country are created. A benefit of this approach is that the examinees will receive similar and comparable test results regardless of which country they are tested. For example, when applying the Ravens 2 in international focused or European research studies, or when testing individuals with a non-Western European or European background. And then within the standardisation, special groups include intellectually gifted, intellectual disability, English language learners, and then finally, just before we finish, I just wanted to show a sample report generated from Q Global. So on the first page of the report, it will include the examinee's details, the details of when the test was administered, and also the reason for referral. Then it provides a summary, a narrative summary here, and then it also puts the standard score and the percentiles within the graph here. You can see that it has the descriptive terms listed underneath, and you have the confidence intervals and scaled score listed on the other side. Here is the score summary table, and then any additional comments that have been named, that have been noted by the examiner. So here are my contact details. I've got my telephone number, my email address, and also my LinkedIn account on here. If you wish to ask any questions or book a demonstration with me, please feel free to do so. Thank you for attending the webinar today, and take care.